guys, Saf here with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and we have finally, for some magical reason, Plarium have listened to us. And I want to do a big shout out, because I think this is really, really important, to the value of good community feedback, highlighting the issues, and the work that goes on behind the scenes to feedback into the Plarium system of like coding development, their loops, right? This is a very complicated organization. There's lots of people doing lots of different things. There's different pipelines and branches. Speaking from experience, working in a team, developing a game, it is very hard sometimes to get an important point across when there's so many demands being placed on different people in different teams. So I want to just do a very quick shout out to go, guys, when something is delivered wrong, and the thing I'm talking about here is, of course, siege mode. When something is delivered wrong, with the wrong amount of sort of resources and rewards, giving good feedback, structured feedback, detailed feedback, explaining it in a level that makes sense to why it's not good, gets us results. And that is why I'm doing this video today, because Plarium have announced they have modified the actual rewards, and I'm surprised by how much they've modified them. They haven't just tweaked them, they have put some significant increases on the rewards that we're talking about here. Just a quick note on siege mode. We're coming up for like the first official siege battle. I will say, organizing this as a clan leader with an organized cluster behind me, supporting me to help this team. Like, I'm not only the leader, there's deputies, there's cluster leaders, is an absolute nightmare. It is awful. It is so hard to figure out what people can do in different places. Honestly, we've kind of like thrown it to the way, just thrown it out there a little bit and just kind of gone with what we can do. We have some ideas of where we should hold and what we should defend, but it's almost impossible to go, hey, player B, you've got Leorius, you should go and take a post that has Lizardman, and player C, you've got, I don't know, Siegfried, you should go and take the one that Siegfried is really good. It's just impossible, because there's no tools in the game to help us do this, right? There's nothing that I can go to like post 8 and see as a leader. These are all the suggestions that the clan members are providing, and then I can pick which one I want. That's the way this system should work. You come in here, a clan member can propose a defense team with a bonus. You can say, do you know what, I'm going to go with this. That's great. That's the one I want to use here. As a clan leader, it's very difficult for me to know what my cluster has. We're kind of just guessing. Communication in this game is not great. This is not good. It's just impossible to organize anything here. So it is difficult. We'll have to see how it goes. We're kind of seeing what this first siege is going to be like, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to enter the attack phase tomorrow, so we'll see how the cluster manages it. But in the meantime, let's talk about the rewards. So previously I did a video talking about how the battle report and the rewards effectively sucked. Without kind of wrapping it up in tinsel foil or anything else like that, the rewards sucked. They said they were terrible. There was just no incentive to play this game mode. And I think, to be fair to Plarium, they kind of understood and accepted it. And as I said, big shout out to everyone involved, moderators, community, good feedback posts, YouTubers, content creators, all of us creating the relevant information required for Plarium to be able to look at it and go, do you know what? We got it wrong. And it's okay for them to get it wrong. This is a brand new game mode, and as long as they fix it before we get into the siege, which is what they've done, kudos. It's not a problem. I don't mind that it was undercooked. I think it will be difficult to encourage people back to it just because people are very tentative about PvP content, but absolutely not a problem. I know they had some bugs as well around people being able to duplicate mana and florins and upgrade buildings when they shouldn't be able to. I think they've kind of resolved all those things now, which is always going to happen. So kudos again for solving it. You know, that's what I want to kind of say here, is they fixed the problems before the problems became too big of an issue. So what are we talking about rewards? Well, there's two types of rewards. There's these milestone rewards, which you're kind of used to with CVC, where it's like, okay, if the clan as a whole has achieved a certain amount of points, victory medals they call them here, then great, you'll get these rewards no matter whether you win or lose. And the requirements to winning is quite hard. You have to defeat the enemy stronghold. You have to then also, I think, win the most amount of victory medals, which probably means you're going to have to take down like the mana shrines and some of their towers. Now, if you're fortunate enough to win, then you will get yourself a victory chest. And this is where you can get the new exclusive legendary Orthotorix Lamasu. There's some special little portrait pictures here, and we got some primal quartz. Now previously this reward was a bit weak. Even for level 1 it was like 3 quartz. Even on tier 6 it was terrible. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison to see how much it's improved, but we can see very quickly from the tiers, one big thing that has gone is 5-star gear. There is no more 5-star gear. 5-star gear doesn't exist anymore. Brilliant. Now, if we could apply the same concept to hard mode Cintranos, that would be great. Or at least hard mode Soul Cross Cintranos. I don't mind if like maybe Cobble Market gives me 5-star gear, but Amius in hard mode should not be giving 5-star gear, and it gives it more often like 60 to 70% 5-star gear. Soul Cross stages shouldn't be giving 5-star gear. Big thing. You cannot beat some of these stages with 6-star gear. It's just not possible. So there's no point giving me something I'm not beating it with. If we can apply the same thing over there, great. A little bit of a sidebar, but this is exactly what we want to see here. I think Hell Hades mentioned in his video, like a 5-star mythical is probably worse than 6-star legendary, just because of the primary stat value. It's just the case it is. So they've got rid of that. It does mean you get less mythical. You only get mythical at tier 6, but if you get tier 6, look, they have doubled and tripled the amount of rewards. It used to be you only get 1. You used to get 4. You're now getting 3 times 4, which is big. That's a huge increase. That's a massive, like 300%. They had to do it though, because you just were never going to be able to build a set. And even at 12 a fortnight, like 24 a month, it still seems pretty impossible to build much of this set, but it's a step in the right direction. So that's the way you win rewards. You get these armor pieces guaranteed, and then if you win the siege, you get a victory chest. Now, I will say most players, by the time this video goes out, will be in their siege. You will get placed in the tier reward equal to your CVC ranking. So I'm in a tier 6 clan. I will probably be in tier 6 for the first siege. So you don't have to work your way up to good rewards. That's a really good idea as well from Plarium on that side. So these were the rewards that were active before today's update or yesterday's update. That was added in, obviously, update 9.0. You can see that we had 3 unique pieces of jewelry, 1 per slot, so a ring, an amulet, and a banner. If you won a chest, regardless of what sort of tier you were in, they just scaled the quality and the star rating. And then obviously if you were if you're completing all your milestones, you got 4 pieces. So this was the total gear you would walk away with in a single siege window, which is 2 weeks, right? 12 days prep, 2 days of sieging. So every sort of 2 weeks, you will walk away with 7 pieces, which obviously is not enough. It's nowhere near enough. You're never going to be able to build a variable set with that level of complexity. I mean, you've got to roll amulet, jewelry, ring in the right faction, even to get close to the 9-piece bonus. It wasn't viable. That was a big problem. The other big issue was the quartz. I mean, you were getting 1/4 of a primal shard per siege if you won. Not even if you were just competing, if you won. So that meant every 2 months you get a primal shard. That was obviously a bit silly as a number. And then they just started the fragments superiorly low, incredibly low, like 1 to 7. Even the best clan on the server was going to take them just 7 months, well, probably 7.5 months to be able to acquire this champion. It was just too long. By the time you get this champion, the champion's probably going to get power grabbed for the majority of players. We can see here, I did some initial numbers and estimations to kind of just give some context to it. Context is very important. You can see that on average, like the quickest you could do was about 7.1, which means that you're going to need to go to another siege window. So it's like 7.5, right? So it's what, 14.5 sieges, give or take. That's if you win every single one, I would add, at tier 6, the best possible outcome. The average player base is somewhere going to be in like tier 3, tier 4. They're probably winning half their fights, maybe at tier 3 or tier 4. You're looking at 4 to 3 years. It was ridiculous. I mean, the worst case scenario is if you were doing like tier 1 and you were basically only winning 10% of your fights, then it's 41 years. Obviously, this number here is a dramatic number. You know, I didn't clickbait it. I just said years. Average player, though, is a minimum a year, right? Even at like 75% at a tier 5 clan is a year. Even if you're at 50% at a tier 6, and remember, the higher the tier, the more challenging matchmaking will be probably. You will find more significant player clans at the top with more coordination at tier 6. So it's probably easier for you to have a higher win rate at like tier 4, 5, and 3, like these lower ones, than it is for tier 6. It's far more likely you're going to be more in the middle range at the tier 6, which means you were still looking at 1 year, and these numbers were pretty rough. So what have they changed them to? Well, obviously we know about the modifications to the mythical armor. We can see those quite straight away, like the 4 pieces you used to get from the milestone rewards. Well, we can see they've removed 5-star gear completely, and they've increased it from 4 to 8 to 8 to 8 to 12 to 12, and there's this jump here because obviously we're getting rid of 5-star mythical. But what we didn't know is how was the victory chest changed, right? You don't see the victory chest at the higher tier at the moment. You might do it when you get positioned, obviously, by the time this video comes out, but it's good, you know, good for us to do this comparison here. Well, you're going to get 8 pieces of jewelry, 8, which is significantly better. We've gone up over double over double, near enough 200% more rewards. This is really, really good. It's a good change. They've also got rid of, by the way, 5-star mythical chaos ore. You only get 6-star gear, which is great. We've taken the primal quartz from 25 to 100. So the tier 6 reward is now the base for tier 1, which means if you win a siege, you get a primal shard. Excellent. If you're at tier 5, you get near enough a primal shard, which sometimes is good if you win live arena chests and you have like 25 excess. If you're at a higher tier, it can be great. Honestly, I wish they would just give a primal shard, but sometimes you can get 2 for the sake of 1, depending on where the other quartz acquisition you've had from different events are. So it's not the end of the world. And they've absolutely doubled, near enough, the amount of champion fragments. I mean, for tier 1, they've increased it by like 400 to 500%. Huge amounts. So it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, and 12. So what does this do now for the Lamasu acquisition? Well, it looks a lot better, although with some caveats. Now, the fastest time you can do it is about 4.5 sieges. So it's about, 8 to 9 sieges? So 4.5 months, so 8 to 9 sieges, because there's 2 sieges every single month. You're looking at somewhere around about like 4.2, 4.5 months before you get it, if you're winning 100% at tier 6. But if you're at 50% now, it should be around about 8 months. And that kind of correlates with Carnage, which for the average player who doesn't fully clear Centranos hard mode, that would take you about 8 to 9 months. It took me about 8 to 9 months to do it. I only completed 1 rotation once. So I was able to save myself a month, give or take. But it's still pretty hefty for lower tiers. So if you're at tier 3 and you win half of them, well, it's still about a year. But if you're winning more often at the lower tiers now, you know, technically it's more efficient to win at tier 5 than it is to try and win half the time at tier 6. So there's a little bit of unequalness. Like if you win a lot at a lower tier, you're going to get it quicker. Like essentially, if you win 100% of the time at any tier, you will get it probably quicker than winning half the time at a tier 5 or a tier 6. That's just the way that it is calculated. If you're in a really low clan, then, you know, if you're winning tier 1 at 1.7 years, then you're never going to really get it in a reasonable amount of time. But if you organize yourself and you get yourself into a competitive clan, you should be able to get Lamasu now in a more healthy time frame. I still feel like it's a little bit too long, just because having got Carnage right now, I can feel like I'm almost trying to force him into teams because of the way that the meta has evolved. New mythicals have come out. And I worry that this might be the same with Lamasu. We'll have to see. It depends on what other content comes out. But a year is a long time in Raid Shadow Legends. I don't know whether or not the champion will still be relevant by the time you get it. We'll have to see what happens. But certainly in the 3 months, 4 months that it takes to get it for the average, the ultra competitive, probably the 100% win rates, then it might be pretty good. So overall, I just want to give a good kudos to Plarium here. They have absolutely reacted in a reasonable amounts of time and hot fixed these rewards. That is what I was hoping for. It is now far more likely that you will get Lamasu. It is better rewards across the board. Will we be able to build an artifact set for the new bonuses? You're probably going to be able to get 4 or 6 pieces. Getting 9 pieces, that is going to be a whole another ball game. And actually getting a set that is of high value, I feel like it's still a bit too restrictive. Keeping in mind that Slayer sets, we've had 2 forge passes and we've crafted like 200 to 400 pieces, and it's still not enough really based on the amount of accessories we've got. But we'll have to see how it goes now as the first siege develops. So you go guys, rewards increased, battle rewards. Good job, Plarium. Let's see how this first siege goes, see what the feedback is. I know that there is more layers to come of this siege. I'm guessing there's different configurations, different bonuses. I've seen some pretty powerful conditions in the behind the scenes, specifically tied to polymorph. So we'll have to see how it goes. But there you go, guys. That is rewards. Let me know in the comments below, is this enough for you to now get more interested in Siege? Has this hit the mark? Obviously, I'm feeding back to Plarium through the different sources that I have available to me to give like sentiment in terms of like what I believe and what my community is saying, what you guys are saying in comments. So if this is still not enough, then obviously we can go back and try and get more interest and more encouragement to the rewards. I still personally feel like we need a few more artifact pieces. 12 is great, but it's like, yes, it's 12 mythical. At least we know it's 12 6-star mythical. That's a really good weighted opportunity. But I could still easily get 12 flat stat chess pieces. That's still a very realistic possibility, which is very frustrating when you're playing a game mode as challenging, as time consuming, and as coordinating like requirements in terms of just like how much time a clan leader must spend to make sure this works. I feel like I would expect a bit more than 12 flat stat chess, so hopefully it won't be. But let me know in the comments below how you think this change is going to affect you. Are you now interested in Siege? And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.